Alrighty. Greetings, everyone. Um, Forgot my little stand for my laptop. Oh well, just have to roll with it. Greetings, star friends. This is Krys Rael with Cosmic Frequency. Um, Today, we're going to be diving into the concepts of our psychic abilities and gifts, and what it means to actually develop them. So, as always, all knowledge and wisdom that is shared here is for the purest and highest frequency of all involved. You can take this as fact, or you can take this as fiction. It really is up to you. For those of you who have eyes to see and ears to hear and hearts to feel, you will take this information and apply it to your lives. And those of you who think it's bogus and hogwash, you will skip it and call me crazy. I'm sharing regardless, because that is what stars do. Um, with that said, I want to remind you all that I do have an event coming up in May 3rd through the 5th, Cosmic Frequency Weekend up in the mountains of Vermont. So that is May 3rd through the 5th. I think I just said that. But this will be a beautiful 2 to 3 day weekend where we get to come together. And this isn't going to be like a typical retreat. This is really a place for you to unfold and be introspective. I'm going to provide an environment where you can actually begin to expand on your journey versus just receiving more information. Because what I find is a lot of people, a lot of souls simply need the environment that is conducive to the development of their higher consciousness. The modern world does not allow us to have spaces to do that. We are always bombarded by all kinds of harmful frequencies. We're bombarded by media of all sorts, and we never have a chance to actually just settle into our own being. So that is what this weekend is all about. May 3rd to the 5th is all about you and all about producing an atmosphere for your greatest unfoldment. So I will also be on the GAIA TV network April 5th, I believe. I'll be speaking on the Beyond Belief with George Noory, that show. So that's really awesome. I'm really, really excited about that. And yeah, so just making sure my other, I don't think it's up here. I think the kiddos took it, but that's all right. My computer gets really loud, and sometimes I like to have it set up a little higher, so you guys don't hear all that loudness. But I might do that in a couple minutes. So superpowers and psychic abilities. I have a few notes written down here in my phone that I'm going to be sharing from. But I want to start with a story. So there was a caterpillar who wanted to know all about flying. It wanted to know what it was like to fly and to have wings. And so it goes to the elder caterpillar and it starts to ask questions. It says, "Hey, I really want to fly. I really want to fly. Can you teach me how to fly?" And the elder caterpillar chuckles and says, "You're going to have to ask someone else." And so the caterpillar goes off and he starts to ask someone else, same information. You're going to have to go ask someone else. And so eventually the seeking caterpillar comes across a butterfly, the old sage wise butterfly. And the butterfly is fluttering around the air. I call them flutterbys because that's what they do. They actually flutter by. They're not butterflies, they flutter by. So the flutterby is fluttering by, and the caterpillar says, "Hey, excuse me, can I talk to you for a minute?" The flutterby comes on down and he says, "How can I help you?" And the caterpillar asks, "I really want to know what it's like to fly. I feel this eagerness, this urge or something within me that wants to just expand, and I just really want to fly. Please teach me how to fly." And the butterfly or the flutterby says, "Let go of the need of trying to fly. Be what you are. Accept yourself as you are now." So with these words, the caterpillar felt really, really frustrated, very kind of angry even, like, what? I'm seeking, I'm searching. No one's giving me these answers. It's all these riddles. And he just goes off on his own. And the caterpillar just kind of sitting by some water one day, decides to climb up a tree and make himself a cocoon. And in this cocoon, he's really just pondering the words of the flutterby. And he's thinking about what he said, and he keeps replaying those words in his mind: just be what you are now, let go of the need to fly. Let go of the need to fly. Like, and he couldn't understand it. If I want to fly, why do I need to let go of it? Why do I need to not perseverate on this ability that I know I can do? So the caterpillar starts getting tired and drowsy, and the nighttime comes and he starts to fall asleep, and he goes into this deep trance. And in this deep trance, he drops all beliefs, all thought forms of his old self, and he just feels completely different, completely renewed and refreshed, right? And so a couple of weeks later, the caterpillar wakes up from this trance-like state, this state of recalibration and rebirth and renewal, and it feels different. There's a lightness about it now. There's something that's shifted in its immediate vibration. And it starts to make its way out of the cocoon that it curated around itself, and it goes to step out, and all of a sudden it's floating, and it doesn't understand how it's floating. After a few more moments, it realizes that it's actually flying. It developed the ability to fly. So what's the moral of the story here? The moral of the story is how we all develop our natural gifts and our abilities. Our natural gifts and abilities do not come from seeking them, or do not come from trying to make them happen. They are a natural byproduct of the expansion of consciousness. And this is where this talk for today takes it to a new level. Most people are trying and reaching for these advanced abilities. They're reaching for telepathy, telekinesis, remote viewing. They're making that the important thing. But when it comes to reality, there's no skipping steps. There's no skipping steps. You cannot reach for something that you have not yet earned the right. That's not a good way to say it, but develop the consciousness to experience. If the caterpillar would have tried to fly before it was ready, it would not have worked. Its wings wouldn't have been developed. So it had to develop the consciousness in the rite of passage to harness the functionality of being a butterfly or a flutterby and actually flying. So the way that we develop our psychic abilities is not by skipping steps. It's not by making them the most important thing. I'm going to read something from my notes here. The superpowers, if we want to call them, are a byproduct of personal work and integration. They are a natural result of higher concepts and shifting of perspectives of what is possible and not possible. So this is really important. Most of you are still operating from third dimensional. I know I don't like to use dimensions and densities, but for lack of better words, you're operating from a paradigm that is intentionally limited. In the 3D reality, there is a consensus group think that it is not possible to do these kinds of things. It's not possible to operate in a higher function and do things we see that, that Marvel characters are doing and whatnot. What first must happen is one's development of their spiritual nature, of their morals and ethics, and of their lifestyle. Your lifestyle must change in order to reflect the consciousness that you now want to experience. So we are heavily affected by the group think, meaning it's the subconscious programming of limitation or perceived limitation that holds you back. So it's like the caterpillar trying to jump off a branch while it's still in caterpillar form and expecting to fly. It's not going to happen, no matter how many techniques it does, no matter how many books it reads, no matter how many gurus it talks to, no matter how many how many modalities it enters into. In its caterpillar consciousness, it is not possible to fly. That caterpillar must be completely transformed from the inside out in order to bring forth the ability and the functionality of flying. Humans on planet Earth must rid themselves and transcend the limited thought patterns that they were born into in order to develop the consciousness needed to access, implement, and utilize a higher ability. The default setting is there for a reason. You set that setting. You limited your perception of reality to a white light spectrum of Roy G. Bibb that we call the rainbow. That is really just a very small portion of reality. But you set that up. So only you can change your settings. The white light spectrum only gives us access to certain portions of reality, of functionality, the five senses, right? And so what's required is a shifting, a raising of consciousness through personal integration, deeper understandings of reality as a whole, and the overall well-being of the subject at hand. This time we're talking about human beings. And through that, through the development of the whole entire consciousness, the lifting up of the whole entire consciousness, one naturally develops their psychic abilities as a byproduct. It naturally comes with the territory. Excuse me. Being a caterpillar, you can only do so much. As a butterfly, you can now eat from flowers, you can now fly, you have all these different functionalities. So you have to take the steps necessary in order to allow your consciousness to remove old programmings and thought patterns that are holding you back. That's the key. We all have the ability to be, psychic and remote view and all these things. The difference is those of us who have rid ourselves of the programming. So you can't just, again, reach out to these modalities and practices and expect results, because it's the subconscious mind, the reticular activation system, that is still operating. You have to reprogram yourself. You have to redo your whole entire life. Your life has to reflect what it is that you're trying to do. Your psychic abilities are expansions of your consciousness. That's what it just comes with the territory. That's what it is. When you expand your awareness, the functionality of that awareness comes with certain parameters. Just like at the default setting, we can see, we can touch, we can taste, we can smell. That's what's there at that setting. Whenever you shift your consciousness and you raise your comprehension, now there's other things to experience. You won't even have to try. It'll happen as you become more integrated in what you actually are. So spiritual advancement as a whole is the key. Spiritual advancement as a whole. This means diet. You can't skip that step either. This means the content that you're consuming. This means what you're listening to. This means who you're hanging out with. This means what you think is possible and not possible. Not just think, but know, feel. What you really understand to be possible and not possible. All these things must be adhered to before you can just start doing things like teleportation and things like that. You have to have a foundational setting. If your foundation for teleportation or your foundation for remote viewing or whatever it is that there is a point A and a point B, a here and a there, you're off. If your foundation is based in light years, if your foundation is based in the traditional understanding of gravity, these things are going to hinder you because they're not true. That's not actually how reality works. So that's what I mean when I say you have to really dig deep and say, okay, what are the thought forms, belief structures that I'm still holding on to that may need to come up for reevaluation? Because that is what's required for your spiritual advancement, is a reframing of yourself. as a limited three-dimensional human being in a interstellar consciousness. When you try to isolate psychic gifts and abilities, this is what happens. It's like, and this is comes from our my star team. So thank you, shout out to you guys for this one. But when you try to isolate the abilities, this is what happens. It's like someone who's obese, right? Someone who is obese and they want to lose weight. They really, really want to lose weight. And so they go to the gym, they hire a trainer, they start doing all these extra things on the outside, right? But every single night they go home and they have a cheeseburger with French fries and a cake. But they go to the gym the next day. They wake up, they go to the gym. Then they go and have the cheeseburger, French fries, and cake. I love French fries, so I don't blame you there. But this person is never going to lose weight, no matter how much they want to lose weight, no matter how much they believe that they can, no matter how much they look up the diets and they hire this trainer and they do that exercise or this challenge in themselves, they're not going to lose weight because their base foundation of consciousness has not shifted. It is still obese. It is still consumptive. They're still eating the same exact foods. So spiritually speaking, this is exactly what's happening. Many people ask me, well, how do I develop this gift? How do I develop that? And I can't give you guys techniques and stuff because your consciousness has to develop that understanding. If I give you these techniques and the things that I practice in my own life, this is this thing right here, very powerful. I know it looks like a simple little dice, but if I start to share these things with you before you're ready, then it's defeating the purpose, because it's not about activating the gifts. It's about leveling up your consciousness and your perception of reality. That's the key. That's you not only going to the gym, but that's you changing what you eat now. That's you thinking better about yourself, right? So we must transform the subconscious by releasing old programs of what is possible and what is not possible. You have to transform your state of mind. This is how you actually develop your psychic abilities. You have overlaid yourself with a series of belief systems, a series of thought patterns, a series of energies, and you have to undo all that to allow what is there to actually come forward naturally and organically. That's going to change this a little bit. So that's really the magic here. The magic is within you, but you have to set yourself up to experience that magic. And I know a lot of you are very eager. You're so eager. You really, really, really want to do this. But someone left a beautiful comment in one of my shorts I just did. I forget what their name is, but let me see if I can find it on my phone really quickly. And I'll read this to you because he or they, I don't know really, but they said it perfectly. And I just want you to hear this. They said, one's awareness determines how an experience will be perceived. Mastering this awareness allows one to be perceived as a player, right? So once perceived as a player is when the game actually begins. So I'm gonna go from there. Once you know yourself as source, you're not operating from the default setting anymore. That's when things really get interesting. The majority of people get stuck in the tutorial, never gaining full access to the experience that which we came here for. It was said in a movie, life is tough. That's the default setting. And I say, if we're not here leveling up, then what are we doing, right? So you have to, that's why I say you got to go back to the center of your being to say, okay, who and what am I first? Start there. There's no skipping steps or lessons or bypassing sequences, as the next experience will never present itself to progress in this way. don't want to get stuck in an unconscious loop. So I'm going to pause there. You can't skip steps. You're only going to experience and be able to function psychically based on where you are in your journey. Reality is a continuous unfolding of your current state of mind. If your current state of mind is still stuck in the default setting, it's not going to matter how much you want to do these gifts and abilities. So you really got to dig deep within yourself to understand where you're at, not where you want to be, but where are you? The caterpillar could not become a butterfly until it took the advice from the butterfly that said, focus on where you are. Let go of trying to fly. Let go of trying to fly. Let go of trying to do all these things. Be where you are, and that is the key. I'm telling you, because in that moment is when you become transformed. You begin to see the thought patterns. You begin to release old habits. You begin to level up your awareness. That is the key. You're never going to be able to experience the next level of consciousness if you're still operating from the default setting. Right? Okay. So can you guys hear me okay? I always do a mic check midway through. So let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I know there's only a couple of you on now. So they say we're in an age where most aren't listening to the instructions and seeking instant gratification. This is the key. Most people are only looking for instant gratification. They want it now. They want it now. They want it now. It's that instant gratification that society has trained us in. But that's not how it goes. A lot of the gifts and the things that I've done have developed without me even knowing I could do it. I didn't know I could do that because I wasn't trying per se. Not that I didn't practice, but it wasn't the main key. The main focus for me is always the expression of my authentic nature. And so I'm not seeking a quick fix, a hurry. I need. Because if I do that energy is naturally pushing away what it is I'm trying to experience. Okay. They say it's like gaining the knowledge of level 1 fireball spell and not having the ingredients to produce it. So you can read all the books, you can listen to all the videos, you can listen to me talk, and you can hear all these wonderful things. But if you yourself are not at the consciousness to experience it, doesn't matter what I say. You got to have the foundation. Therefore, not being able to use it 100 times to level it up and access Fireball level 2. We get the spell, and yet we don't have the awareness to use it and try to move forward and seek something else. It's like learning how to read and never picking up a book. This is one of the best comments I've seen in a long while. And this comes from someone who has integrated. I can tell they've integrated this. They could not know these things if they didn't integrate it, if they didn't actually go through the experience of it. This person did not, I assume they did not read this from a book. This comes from their own being. At least that's what I feel whenever I read this comment. The gift of reading is to be used to gain access to the next experience. Most will take the gift and then ask for more and become stagnant, not realizing the universe is waiting for you to fulfill your part of the deal. And I love that so much. Most people will come to me, hey, teach me this, teach me that. How do I do this? Here, do it. But you're not, it's not going to mean anything because you haven't done the work yourself. Everything that I've done is noetic. Self-realized experience is only validated and confirmed through external means after I've already had the experience myself. And that's real magic. That's the key right there. Okay. So they say, I can only share through my experience. There's no one size fits all, yet most are trying to gain through others' experiences and not truly having any of their own. That's like borrowing magic and it never lasts, but the magic from within is forever. I mean, that I suggest you all go back and read that comment because that summarizes everything I'm looking to convey to you in this video about psychic abilities. It's not about the techniques. It's not about the chakras. It's not about listening to the masters or listening to me or listening. It's not about anything. It's about you and your own perception of reality. Taking yourself through the transitional phase from phase from caterpillar to butterfly. That is it. Now, of course, there are things that I could teach you that I do to help further my progression in this realm, as far as magic and things like that. But again, those lessons are saved for the adept and one who has gone through their own experience. I'm not looking to teach people or to share things with people who only want the quick fix. That's not it. Because, you know, one thing about consciousness is it's always going to go back to the default setting. So if you come to me and I say, hey, this is what I do with this dice, I focus and blah, 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 you know, that's going to sound really good and you're going to go apply it. But, and you might have some results, but your life is not going to change. You know, these functions are meant to help us change and help us up level our life in general. And so I don't want to share things with people who are only looking for techniques for instant gratification without first honoring where they are and taking the necessary steps to develop their own psychic nature, which is really develop their own holistic mind, changing your lifestyle, right? And another way I could say this is like if I were to give one of my kids keys to the car, great, they might want to drive, but I don't want to see a 7-year-old driving around a big SUV. They have to go through the awareness of what an SUV is, what the buttons do in the SUV, you know, and then from there, how to push the pedals, but then from there, how to read the signs, then the traffic lights and all these things, right? There's steps that you got to take on this journey. You can't, there's no skipping steps. And so once my kiddo would learn how to, you know, learn the preliminaries of SUV, traffic, pedals, all these things, boom, you have gained the keys, right? You have become the SUV driver now. You've become the butterfly. Versus her being like, I really want to drive. Teach me how to drive. Teach me how to drive. Here's the keys. Off you go. That's not going to do any good. That's not going to do any good. So our psychic gifts and our psychic abilities are a natural byproduct of our consciousness. A couple more things I'll share before I go is, as a collective, the more of us that tune into higher states of mind within ourselves, the easier it is going to be for us to naturally unfold our psychic abilities, because the field itself will now be conducive to that kind of thing. Right now, the majority of people don't believe that teleportation is real. And if they do, they learn it through quantum physics, which is bullshit. And because it teaches you about, you know, the spooky particle at distance, which is, oh my God, that's such a illiterate way to describe what's really going on. It just shows that modern science has no idea about the ether, or if they do, they hide it. Point is, the more of us that really start to develop our consciousness as a whole, the more we naturally see the workings of reality, and then from there we apply it. It's like if you're driving in a car and it's really foggy out. It's really foggy. So in a car, you can only see 20, 30, 40 feet in front of you, right? So the road is only revealed to you as you continue on the path, but you don't get access to what's at the end of the road until you drive to get to the end of that road. So a lot of you are trying to gain access to the end of that road without getting in the car and actually driving through the fog, if you will. The fog in this case is your own mind. It's your own limited thoughts. It's your own perceptions of reality and what you think is possible and not possible. The fog is your level of integration. The more integrated you are with your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your habits, your mental capacity, how you treat others, how you treat yourself, the more of that fog starts to clear, the more things become available and accessible to you. And I know this from direct experience. This isn't something that I actually haven't read this in a book. Remote viewing came to me before I even knew what that word was. Telepathy, telekinesis, all these things have been a byproduct of leveling up how I perceive myself in reality at large. So I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes. If you guys have questions, please write them in the chat here. I'm feeling the energy of this live coming to a close, but I will stay for a few more minutes. If you guys have questions, now's your time. Just write them in the chat. I see a few of you are on here. What's up, Carl? Okay, not a house. Thank you for your comment again on the on my YouTube channel. That was really, really powerful. I'm gonna check my notes just to see if there's anything else I wanted to share with you guys. And trust me, I understand that it's really easy to give techniques, and I've made videos on different telepathy techniques, but I realize that that's not really getting the point across to people. That's doing you a disservice. That's showing you the end of the tunnel before you've developed the consciousness to drive there, yourself. So yeah, if there's no other questions or thoughts, I am going to close this live. Okay, so Brother Carl, Lord Lama says, can you provide any basic concepts or ideas for helping to encourage the internal growth expansion of the mind, accommodating the skills developed as a result of that growth? So the basic concepts would just be, it's actually more about letting go of the abilities. Like, I don't know if you're here at the beginning of this live, but I used the example of the caterpillar and the butterfly. The caterpillar was on this search to fly, and it asked everyone and all the members of its community, and it simply, the final information was to let go of needing to fly and be what you are now. And in that process was a natural unfolding for that caterpillar who transitioned and became a butterfly. So I would say the basic concepts are shifting the fact that we are not limited. We're not limited. We're only limited by what we think we're limited to. I know that sounds, repetitive, but it's true. And being really real with yourself about lifestyle. Is your lifestyle conducive to something or someone who has access to this level of magic? Right? I don't know how to express it in human words, but it's like, stop trying to reach for the abilities and simply be what you actually are. When you are what you are truly, then the abilities naturally unfold from you. How do you listen to your own heart? How do you know it's the heart and not the ego? So the ego is not a bad thing at all. The ego is the only way that you know yourself. And there's a lot of talk about, kill the ego and things like that. And I don't agree. I don't subscribe to that anymore. The Irma would say it's healthy to have an ego. To have a healthy ego is to have full confidence in yourself, and the actions you take are there to benefit yourself and others, right? So it's not about anything. The ego is great. I'm an ego. We're all egos. The ego is just simply the soul. The ego is what gives us the individuation experience as Krys, as Carl, as so-and-so, as so-and-so. So it's not anything to do with the ego, and not so much the heart. Whenever people say heart, what they're meaning is, how do I listen to myself, my authentic nature? You listen to yourself by removing all the false programs that you have been brought up in. You have to strip away more of the programming. As I always say, you have to be aware of what your programs are in order to get rid of them in the first place. A lot of times I just sit in quietness I'm not trying to figure anything out. I'm not trying to heal myself. I'm not trying to do telekinesis. I'm not trying to be telepathic. I'm not trying to solve the mysteries of the universe. I am simply being. And there's something magic that happens in those moments when you allow yourself to truly be. You quiet the mind. It's like this. Write this down. When the body is still, the mind can be heard. When the mind is still, the soul can be heard. When the soul is still, the universe can be known. Right? So it's more about that moment, whatever that, with that pause, that stillness. And this is the undefinable nature of reality that I'm trying to define for you all. But I can't, because words don't define it. You have to experience this for yourself. And it's in that space where you can hear yourself. Right? I guess I just need to encounter the answer myself. I find it difficult to comprehend how one can learn a skill without consciously training it. Can you learn to ride a bike without practice? So it's not that there's not techniques to develop these things. It's that that's not the key. That's not the focus. That's not the point. And it's more about comprehending, okay, if my 2-year-old, I could put her on the bike, but she has no idea what a bike is. She has no idea, what she would do on the bike. So she has to come into that part of the journey on herself, within herself. And when she does, the bike will be there, right? But yes, guess I need to encounter the answer myself, and that's it. That's what I would say. That's exactly it. Because if I tell you, hey, Carl, take this dice and do this thing and do that thing and do this thing and do that thing, that appeases your thinking mind, but it doesn't give you the spiritual foundation that's required. That's more of just kind of like, oh, that's cool, I can do that now, right? But that's not the key. The source where the skills was attained will also create experiences by which to harness it. All the parts to put a table together are there, but are following the instructions. But we are following the instructions. Exactly. And this is why I was saying, whenever I sit in that stillness, things happen. I'm self-taught noetically. It unfolds. Go back and listen to the beginning. It's a natural byproduct of a higher consciousness, of developing your own ethereal nature. So trying to read the instructions before you've integrated the instructions isn't going to work. You already have the skills within you, but you have to set the foundation for yourself to experience these things. They naturally will come out and forth from you. This came to me in meditation. This is an ether resonator. It's a technology. No one told me about this. I haven't seen this symbol anywhere ever. This is a natural byproduct of me being in authentic awareness, downloading a technology from that space and developing it. A lot of times I'll do body movements that some call Qigong that I'm just doing intuitively. I'll look up later. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was called that. I didn't know that was called that. And so things are a natural byproduct of the sentient consciousness who becomes self-aware. That's how you write your own instructions. You are the one that's creating the game, right? Makes sense. I know I've learned this before, but kind of fell out of that focus. I find a way to work that into my hectic schedule. This is what I'm trying to say. I think I've said everything in this video that is important, but the environment, this is why I said I'm hosting an event in May, because you guys don't need me to tell you the techniques. You just need the environment for you to naturally unfold your authentic self. Brother Carl, yes, it's going to be hectic at school. You're probably picking up frequencies from all these other people. And so you're not able to really tune into your own essence, your own heart, your own knowing. And it's through that knowing that you would naturally teach yourself. You would naturally figure it out, but it's hard to do amongst the chaos. So I feel you. I just saw an image in my mind right now. Um, there's a certain depth in the ocean. If you were to dive in the ocean and you get to a certain point, you get to a certain buoyancy, or not buoyancy, I forget what the special word is, but you get to a certain point where the ocean naturally starts to vortex and actually pull you down. There's no effort on your part. Up until that point, you're swimming, 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 and then you get to a point where it just vortexes and you're just being brought down, right? That's kind of what it's like when you get into that space of stillness within yourself. When you become the source and realize yourself as the source, it just happens. Things, downloads, insights, abilities, technology start to unfold. I don't know how else to say that or express it, but that's what it is. That's the magic right there. That's how I've developed my techniques, my business, my cosmic frequency has come from that place of eternal stillness that I call the ether, that is the source. It's that effortless power, as they say in Qigong. That is the key. Anything I teach you about how to, the techniques are only more swimming for you. It's more work for you. It's going to appease your thinking mind. But trust me when I say, when you start to be able to actually feel and sense the ether, and then you start to see different colors in your mind, and you start to actually know how to manipulate those colors, then you recognize that colors are just a frequency, and that frequency is just an angle of the ether. And then an angle is really just your thoughts. You start to put all these pieces together. There's nothing else like it. There's no technique that I could have ever have done that would have given me the wisdom that I just shared with you in those 23 seconds right there. That comes from direct experience by letting go of trying to figure something out and simply knowing and recognizing I have the answers when given the opportunity to express and experience those answers within myself. And I know this is driving some of you crazy. Like, just tell me how to do telepathy. Just tell me how to do this. Just tell me how to do remote viewing. So just because it's part of my nature, I'll share one technique, one little tiny thing, just because I like to, I don't like to be so serious all the time. Imagine, if you just take a moment right now, I just want you to take your hand and just start to go like this with your hand. You're not really trying to figure anything out. And I want you to put all your awareness on your fingertips. And notice that the second you put your awareness on those fingertips, your fingertips start to vibrate. Now shift your awareness to the center of your palm. Now your center of your palm starts to vibrate and tingle. Now be creative and imagine that there's a spiral in the center of your palm. And what you do with that energy is up to you. That's all I'm going to give you. I've given you a key. You have to take that key and unlock the door. Anything more is me doing you a disservice, and it's not letting you go through the experience yourself. But I've just shown you and given you a very powerful, simple thing that just to get those wheels spinning of what it means to really be in that space. Okay? Surrender. Yes. So it's time to set more time aside to meditate. Got it. Got to be still and know. Exactly. That's exactly all it is. And yeah, that's exactly it right there. Set more time aside to notice the stillness, to allow yourself to vortex within yourself. It's out of this world. It really, really is. It's so much more fun to have things be revealed to you from the inside, and you get this rush of oh my God, that's it. And then you put it into practice and then it works. Everything was created that way. So any last thoughts? Any last questions? Thank you all for being here so much. I really appreciated this. Those of you who commented, who showed up. If you'd like to do more in person, please let me know, because we will be going deeper into this stuff in person, setting this up. setting up the atmosphere for this level of experience. You're affecting you're affecting your field like swimming in a field of non-polarized static and directing its flow for the desired effect. Bingo. Thank you. Yes, you got it. Tell the Star fam I say hi. They won't come to my school for some reason. I'll tell them, but you can tell them too. They're always around. They're always there. I mean that quite literally. I'm not talking just about like in meditation. I'm very connected to the cosmos. I'm very connected to the star people as one of them. You think I'm human, but we'll keep that as a little surprise. So much more than human. So much more. Um, but at the same time, what makes something extraterrestrial and what makes something human is again mindset. It's not the physical appearance. It's the level of awareness and consciousness coming from that being. That is what determines whether they're extraterrestrial or terrestrial. Terrestrial mindset is the 3D matrix. You become your extraterrestrial stellar identity when you break through that matrix and you start to apply your higher gnosis and your higher wisdom in a real way that has real world effects. Oh my God, there's so much to share with you guys. I gotta pause. There's so much to share. Let me know what topics you guys would like to hear. And again, don't take advantage of what I share, but know that I can only share so much through these live streams, and I can do so much more with you all in a one-on-one setting, in a group setting even. This is my life's work. I don't have a typical job. This is what I do. So yes, I charge for my services, of course, because when you go to the store to buy your cat food, they charge you for that. When you go to the store to get, toilet paper, you pay for that without any question. So my services reflect the level of consciousness and the awareness I'm here to share with the world. And it's a great way for me to be able to provide for my family while doing the great work, right? I've dedicated my life to this. This is what I do. This is not anything I do out of hobby. This is what I do and who I am. So please, if you can, support that. Donations are always welcome. You can go to my website, cosmicfrequency.org. Instagram is Cosmic Frequency. The second E in frequency is not there. YouTube, obviously. And anything else? Email is Krys@cosmicfrequency.org. So yes, any support that you guys can offer, financially, even just getting the word out to people, letting people know that I have these events, that I'm doing these talks, there's this YouTube channel. Start to spread the frequency. Start to let people know about cosmic frequency, because this is an experience. This is not new age. This is something completely transcendent of all new age and spiritual propaganda. And there's a wave of energy that I'm bringing that is meant to heighten the awareness of the population so that humans can actually step forward, move on their journey without recycling themselves over and over and over because they lack the knowledge of who and what they truly are. So if this resonates at all, anything that I've said, please share Cosmic Frequency, send donations, register for an event, sign up for a one-on-one. The more people that engage with this frequency, the more we see reality shift in magical and very, very profound and powerful ways. So I cannot stress that enough, guys. Your support, your encouragement, your dedication to your own well-being, and the support of this channel and my work is paramount. So thank you all. All right. Peace, star friends.